All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful idea, this belief in an unseen spiritual battle that shapes our everyday lives, and importantly, the divine protection that's promised to those who face it. So let's get right into it. It all kicks off with this really relatable feeling, right? That sense that you're up against something. A struggle you can't quite put your finger on, something you can't see. Okay, so to really get a grip on this struggle, we've got to understand the battlefield. The world itself is described as this place that's kind of split right down the middle by a huge spiritual divide, a deep conflict between light and darkness that goes way back. And this is a huge point. This conflict isn't just something happening out there, in the big visible problems like injustice or suffering. It's also happening in here, inside our own hearts. Things like anger, jealousy, and pride are described as footholds, little handholds for that conflict to grab onto. So that leads us to the tactics, right? The playbook of this unseen foe. And here's what's so important to grasp. These attacks, well, they're usually not big, loud explosions. They're quiet, they're subtle. Now, this adversary gets a name, the enemy or Satan. But honestly, the name isn't the point as much as the method is. We're not talking about some dramatic movie-style confrontation. It's way more about these quiet manipulations that tap right into our hidden struggles and the chaos we feel inside. So let's break down the weapons in this arsenal. Discouragement, that's described as feeling like a sharp dagger, just a sudden jab. Doubt is like a thick fog rolling in. You can't see your way forward. Temptation is the bait, plain and simple. And then you have the lies, those little whispers in your ear telling you you're a lost cause, that you're just too far gone. Okay, so that's the problem. But now the whole focus flips, and it flips entirely to the solution. And this solution? It's built on a foundation of divine promises. It's a defense you can't physically see, but it's one you're meant to stand on, firm and solid. The very first layer of this defense, the bedrock, is a promise of constant, and I mean total, protection. The idea here is that it's not some leaky shield that only covers you sometimes. Nope, it's meant to cover every single aspect of your life. And this passage from Psalm 121 really paints the picture of just how all-encompassing this is supposed to be. When it says you're going out and you're coming in, that's ancient shorthand for everything. Literally everything. Your commute to work, the decisions you make, even just when you're sleeping. The idea is that every single step is covered. All right, let's add the next layer to this. It's not just about a protective shield. There's also a promise to make you spiritually strong, to ground you so that you're not so easily shaken or knocked off your feet. And the key word in this next passage is establish. What does that even mean? Well, it's defined as being made steady, like a tree with deep roots. It means being firm in your foundation. So even if intimidation comes your way, the whole point of this promise is to make sure you hold your ground. And this third promise, this one hits back directly at one of the enemy's most powerful weapons we talked about, that feeling of being completely and totally alone. This promise is a direct counterpunch. It says that divine help isn't just for the good times. Actually, it's most present when things feel like they're at their absolute worst. I mean, the imagery here is just so powerful, isn't it? The valley of the shadow of death. That's not a literal place. It's a feeling. It's those dark, uncertain moments in life where you feel lost. And the promise is that even when you're surrounded by those shadows, you're never actually alone. There's a guiding presence right there with you. So look at this. This is where it all kind of crystallizes. On one side, you've got the enemy's whispers. You're too broken. You're too weak. You're all alone. And on the other side, you have God's truth, which is a direct answer to each lie. He came to redeem the broken. His power is made for the weak. He is always with you. That's it. That's the core conflict right there. Okay, but just hearing these promises isn't the whole story. This isn't about just sitting back and doing nothing. The second part of the solution is all about the believer's active role. It's about how you, personally, are supposed to engage in this fight. And this is a really, really important distinction to make. The strength to fight doesn't come from just gritting your teeth and trying harder. It's not about your own willpower. The source material says victory comes from trusting deeper, trusting in a power that's already there for you. And this next verse explains why that is. The reason a believer can overcome isn't because of their own strength. It's because the power that lives inside them is described as being infinitely greater than any negative force out there in the world. So, How do you actually do that? How do you actively trust? Well, it's laid out as a strategy called wearing the full armor of God, and it breaks down into these practical steps. You guard your thoughts with truth. You clothe yourself in righteousness. You hold up faith like a shield to block those doubts. You put on the helmet of salvation to protect your mind, and you carry the sword of the Spirit, which is God's word, as your weapon. And all of this leads us to the grand finale, the big takeaway, the ultimate outcome. The message here is one of total assurance. It's simple. The battle is already decided. It's already been won. So here's the bottom line. Any struggle you might face today, it's happening inside the context of a much bigger war that's already been won. The final decisive battle, it's presented as something that already happened at the cross. And I love how this is clarified. The quote says, "No weapon formed against you will prosper." But notice, it doesn't see the weapon won't form in the first place. Oh, the weapons will definitely form. The doubt will come, the discouragement will hit. The promise is just that, in the end, they won't succeed. And this final question just wraps it all up perfectly, doesn't it? If God is for you, who can ever truly stand against you? It really puts everything in perspective. If the ultimate power in the universe is on your team, what force, seen or unseen, could possibly win in the long run? It's just the ultimate expression of confidence. So that leaves us with this final question to chew on. In a world that's packed with challenges we can't always see coming, this whole framework really makes you ask yourself, where are you placing your trust? Where are you really finding your strength and your security?